What's your take on garlic ice cream?
I mean, my take on garlic ice cream is that I wish it tasted more like vanilla because because when you look at it, you're like, oh yeah, your brain thinks vanilla, and then you eat it, and then your tongue's on fire.
Josh Meyers here with another episode of the California Now podcast. Today we're heading to what many call the garlic capital of the world, Gilroy, California. Just 33 miles south of San Jose, this vibrant Central Coast community has a rep for its abundance of the so-called stinking rose. But there's so much more to see and do and eat here. We'll explore Gilroy's booming arts and culture scene and learn about the truly unique Gilroy Gardens theme park, which has some rather famous trees. That's all coming up on California Now. While Gilroy's reputation often conjures the image and the mouth-watering smell of garlic, the world is also starting to catch a whiff of its prowess in the arts and culture space. My next guest has been instrumental in putting Gilroy's creative side on the map. Ruben Dario Villa is a Chicano artist, designer, and founder of Gilroy's annual La Ofrenda Festival. Ruben, welcome to California Now. We are so excited to have you here with us.
Thank you very much for having me, Josh. I'm stoked to be here. This is kind of crazy to be representing a little place like Gilroy, but it feels like California wants to know, so I'm ready.
Yeah, we definitely want to know. We want to know, the world wants to know. So, Gilroy is many things. It's an agricultural hub, it's the garlic capital of California, maybe even of the universe. But you see Gilroy in a different light. So, before we get to the specifics of that, though, can you orient us a little bit? So, where is Gilroy?
So Gilroy is at the southernmost tip of Santa Clara County, which is also known across the world as Silicon Valley. So we are at arm's reach from that, about an hour and a half to San Francisco, about an hour, 45 minutes, or about 45 minutes to San Jose. We still claim that we are part of the Bay Area, if you will, because we are, the southernmost of 408 area code. But our neighbors to the south of us, like Salinas, Watsonville, Hollister, San Juan Bautista, those folks we have a little more in common with because of our open spaces and, like you said, our agricultural hub.
You're kind of Bay Area, you're kind of Central Coast, you're kind of Central Valley. I feel like everyone wants to claim Gilroy as their own. They want to say, no, they're with us. Now, getting into the sort of arts and culture scene, I want to talk a little bit about you as an artist and as a designer. You've played a huge role in shaping the Gilroy arts and culture scene. So, where did you begin with that?
It all goes back to when I was born. No,
In a way,
well,
it must,
yeah,
but
no, it has to. You got to shout out to my parents. They made me possible. But I spent about 12 years in tech as a designer. I spent the last 8 of those years at Google, and I was actually part of the massive layoffs that they had at the beginning of 2023. And I took that as a sign and as a blessing from God that I was supposed to just kind of get into it and kind of fully dive into investing myself and my time and my energies into Gilroy. And I did that as a full-time artist. I'm currently still doing that. I joined the Arts and Culture Commission for the city of Gilroy. I joined as chair of the Gilroy Arts Roundtable, which is sort of like a local grassroots collective of creatives and art enthusiasts. So it connected me at the civic level with the city, as well as on the grassroots level with the artists in town. And what I realized was that there needed to be a bridge between the two so that we can start to activate and really uplift the artists and also arts and culture for the city. So it was a blessing to be at the right place at the right time. After the shooting at the Garlic Festival, there was a sort of like a vacancy because we had lost the Garlic Festival for a while, and actually is just happy to report that it's just returned last year and sort of resurging again this year. But there was a vacancy of like, how do we get the community together and sort of fill that void of connection? And we kicked off with La Ofrenda Festival, which is Gilroy's Day of the Dead Festival and Wellness Fair. We had no idea what we were getting into, but quickly we saw there was a huge buy-in. We had about 6,000 people show up on our first year, which was insane because we thought maybe we would get, 2,500 people. And so that really surprised us and sort of set the tone for the last 4 years now.
Can you tell us about La Ofrenda, what that means, and why you chose that as a name?
Of course, la ofrenda, the word ofrenda in Spanish means offering, and really what we're offering up is our love for our community. It's based around Dia de Muertos or Day of the Dead, which is a cultural celebration around honoring those who have passed, the loved ones who have died and gone on, and also our ancestors. And so there's a intentional connection to the ancestral heritage that we have, but also of honoring those who have passed. We all have stories of those who have passed, and we want to share those stories, and this celebration is a platform for that. And I think that's why, last year we had about 10,000 people show up to La Ofrenda Festival, and it was epic.
When is the festival?
So the next festival this year in 2026 will be October 24th, Saturday, in the heart of downtown Gilroy. We actually closed down Monterey Street between 3rd Street and 4th Street and 7th Street. So it's three city blocks, a bunch of, like you mentioned, live performances, artists, vendors, wellness resources, music, food, right? All the things that you would expect of a great community festival.
Do people need to buy tickets ahead of time for an event like this?
No, this event is completely free to the community. It's open. It's We do it that way because we don't want to limit anyone's attendance.
Is there anything new and exciting about this year's festival that you can tell us about?
Well, for sure, we're bringing back live lucha libre, which because that
Oh,
has
yeah.
been like the most, the biggest, maybe more lucha libre. Maybe we need more lucha libre.
Yeah, I
Um,
don't think you can ever have too much.
yeah.
For those who don't know, can you describe lucha libre? I mean, it's
Yes.
the Mexican wrestling, it's the
Yeah.
luchadors, but how would you describe it?
Yeah, exactly. It's like WWE, but like, Mexican and I feel like a little more theatrical even. At the acrobatics are just like off the hook, and most folks, will wear masks or face painting and stuff. And so the masks have become iconic over time. So for lucha libre, you have two groups. You have the técnicos and you have the rudos. And the técnicos are the ones that follow the rules. They have the specific form. They collaborate well. The rudos are the street guys. They'll break the rules. They'll go and kind of turn on you and stuff. They have no real allegiance, and so they kind of go after each other. And it's a great show to watch, honestly.
Who gets more support among the people there? Is it the technicos, or do people kind of like the rudos?
The rudos I feel like are usually the ones that the crowd loves to hate because you'll hear boos. They'll welcome the boos, and
Yeah.
you kind of, but ultimately you just want to see a good show. So I think that's what happens.
Oh, that's great. Now, you are a local, so if someone was planning a trip to Gilroy, other than your festival and your cultural center, where would you send them?
Oh, there's some really cool places. If you're interested in checking out some cool family-owned farms, I would check out LJB Farms. They've got great, especially if you come around October, they have some really great sort of pumpkin patch experiences. And of course, they're there all the time with all their produce, and you can purchase all their amazing produce. Also, there's True to Earth You Pick. They have a really cool spot where you can pull up. And of course, it feels a little counterintuitive, but if you're interested and in just kind of having that connection with your food, you get to pick the strawberries or pick the different fruits that are available there and kind of take it as you wish. And so that's a really fun experience. and more outdoorsy and kind of out in the mountains. I always tell people to go to Mount Madonna County Park. It's got some great hikes up there, really fun trails, nothing too wild, and you're not gonna, I mean, if you get lost, it's not that bad. You'll find your way around, and so I love those places. And then there's also a bunch of really cool wineries. Gilroy has the oldest wine country in California, older than Napa. Of course, we don't have that prestige, and we also don't have the price tags either. So, if you
Yeah.
if you come hang out, a tasting is not going to cost you an arm and a leg. You'll have a great time. I personally recommend Solis Winery, Fortino Winery, and then also Satori.
Any favorite restaurants in town?
I am a big fan of Pops. Pops is a spot. It's Americana spot. You got a little bit of everything. You got places for kind of keep your kid entertained, but also a great bar and just some great, amazing food. So that's what I would say.
Because it's the garlic capital, you're also sort of famous for having garlic ice cream. What's your take on garlic ice cream?
I mean, my take on garlic ice cream is that I wish it tasted more like vanilla because because when you look at it, you're like, oh yeah, your brain thinks vanilla, and then you eat it, and then your tongue's on fire.
Yeah.
But what I would say is it's a must. You kind of got to check it out. There's a couple spots that carry it here in downtown. But it's one of those things you kind of, you check off your bucket list, and there's a reason why they give you a mini cone, right? You
Yeah.
don't need too much.
Yeah. A lot of your work focuses on supporting and highlighting Latino artists in Gilroy. So, can you talk about that community of creatives and what it is they're making and what it is you want the world to know about what they're making?
Of course. Gilroy artists we're a strong bunch. And actually until we started organizing, we weren't, I think, really aware of the extent to which we cover. We have a lot of artists running the gamut. We have on this side, we have our like official, I said I was the unofficial. We have our official like ambassador to Gilroy artists, Nacho Moya. He is now spends a lot of time in your part of town in LA and makes art for the stars and musicians and all these famous folks. And so he's always repping Gilroy around the world. And then we have folks that are more closer to home, like Niños de la Montaña. They focus on Mexican folk art and botany, and so they kind of blend making things like mascaras or piñatas and kind of blending traditional artwork with the land. And so they've done a great job of kind of showcasing a different side of art here in Gilroy. And then there's, artists that are more so community activators like myself that just want to put on and produce great artwork. We have also some great theater up and coming as well, some community theater called Teatro Jaguar by Carolina. She just started that up and she's starting to sort of bring teatro to Gilroy in a way that our neighbors like San Juan Bautista have had for generations now. So that's kind of what we're up to at the moment.
Busy, busy up there. Now, I want to hear a little bit more about one of your more recent accomplishments, the opening of the Casa de Cultura y Arte. Can you tell us how that came to be?
Casa de Cultura y Arte is a arts, culture, and wellness community space for folks to explore different artistic ventures. We have resident artists upstairs, and we have community space downstairs, and a really great patio in the back with a stage. So we do a lot of live music, open mics, poetry, teatro, as I mentioned before. It's a two-story Victorian home built in 1857. So you don't have to do much to make that place kind of like awe-inspiring, So
Yeah.
yeah, it's been a blessing to open it up, and it kind of came about after the 2 years of really successful run of Ofrenda Festival, which then led to like how can we have this programming year round, and that's how Casa de Cultura y Arte was born.
Any future plans or projects for that center? What do you think the future of art and culture has in store for Gilroy?
Arts and culture is has a huge momentum and sort of crowd support behind it at the moment here in Gilroy, and we want to grow the amount of programming that we do here at La Casa. We have every third Friday. You know how a lot of cities have first Fridays. For some reason, we're doing it on third Friday. Like I said, we just do our own thing.
Yeah,
So
man.
every third Friday we have an activation at La Casa, which usually focuses again on live music and bringing the community together. We have coffee vendor Taza, and we have a food truck kind of show up, and so we do that actively. But we've trying to do a continuation of what Ofrenda Festival is all about. Again, arts, culture, wellness. So a little bit of we sometimes we'll have runs that leave, community runs that leave from La Casa and return back and kind of hang out. We'll have some wellness activities, and then more broadly, as arts and culture is concerned across the city, we've had an amazing couple run of festivals as well. So outside of La Ofrenda Festival, we have some really amazing festival that happens in September called the Tamal Festival, which actually brings more people out than Ofrenda Festival. So that's a great one to check out. Have over 100 lowrider cars. We have a bunch of tamal vendors. So if you're looking to kind of like really get the gains in on a single day, you go to the tamal festival and you consume a little bit of everything there. And then finally, which just happened in April, is the Poppy Jasper International Film Festival.
So if you're out and about in Gilroy and, you've got your place to stay, you've gone to Pops, you've maybe checked out a festival, anything else to do in town? Any other highlights?
Yes, actually, right across the street from Casa de Cultura are good friends at the Gilroy Historical Society. And Susan Voss and the team have done a great job of capturing Gilroy's history from its inception at the Gilroy History Museum. They are, especially if you love great stories and you want to learn about the really interesting, chisme, right? About Gilroy, you go across the street and you go visit our friend Susan Voss at the Gilroy History Museum.
I love it. Ruben, as we have been talking, it's so clear how great the sense of community is in Gilroy because you're on a first name basis with all of these people, and that's the fabric that really makes a community, and you're such a leader of that. I can't think of anyone better to talk Gilroy to, and this has been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you. That was epic.
I do want to clarify for anyone who's watching this podcast instead of listening to it, your hat says Gilroy, but it says it backwards. There's
Yes.
nothing. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's upside down, so it's a little funky, but like that's Gilroy,
That's Gilroy, a little funky.
a little funky.
That's also how a lot of people describe the garlic ice cream. It's a
Yeah,
little funky.
it's a little funky.
Well, Ruben, this has been incredible. I'm seeing Gilroy in a whole new light, and I really can't wait to visit. I can't believe I haven't spent time there. I haven't been there for the Garlic Festival. I haven't been there for your La Ofrenda Festival. But it just sounds like a great, cool, funky spot to come visit. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much, Josh. And yes, I would love to have you out here. You have a home and a homie out here in Gilroy now, so I'm out.
I love it. I love it. Well, for more information about La Ofrenda and Casa de Cultura y Arte, visit www.laofrendafestival.com. Thank you for joining us here on California Now. Support comes from Vuori. At California Now, we are all about California. So it should come as no surprise that we are all about Vuori. Vuori brings that California cool while also being versatile enough to wear no matter what you've got in store. Like their short sleeve bridge button down, which I love for travel. It's got a little stretch, it's moisture wicking, which helps on hot days, and it offers built-in sun protection, which for me is huge. If I'm on a couch or a plane, I love the Seaside pullover hoodie. I can just disappear into its hood and feel like I'm inside of a cloud. And shorts season is upon us, and the core short is calling. You can wear these bad boys all day. They're light, breathable, and you can get them with or without a built-in liner. And they've got a couple different lengths, so you can get the pair that's right for you and your gams. Vuori is an investment in your happiness. For our listeners, they're offering 20% off your first purchase. Get yourself some of the most comfortable and versatile clothing on the planet at vuori.com/CA now. That's VUORI.com/CANOW. All one word. Exclusions apply. Not only will you receive 20% off your first purchase, but enjoy free shipping on any U.S. orders over $75 and free returns. Go to vuori.com/CA now and discover the versatility of Vuori clothing. Exclusions apply. Visit the website for full terms and conditions. Garlic may have put Gilroy on the map, but many families with young children come for a different reason. The unique circus trees and nostalgic rides at Gilroy Gardens draw visitors from all over the world. And bonus, the historic theme park's focus on food and agriculture may inspire your kiddos to eat their veggies and actually love them. Joining me on California Now is Joely Rosales, the brand manager for digital marketing at Gilroy Gardens, who sees that little miracle unfold every day. Joely, I'm so excited that you're joining us here. I'm so excited to learn more about Gilroy Gardens. It really fascinates me, and it just looks like such a magical place, and I'm sure it has so much history. So let's start there. How did this place come to be?
Yeah, I love sharing this part because everyone just kind of thinks a theme park was just planted here in Gilroy, and just went on with it. But it has a very, very long backstory to it. So it was originally created and founded by a man named Michael Bonfante. It originally started out actually as a nursery. No rides, it was all nursery. And so this was due to him just having a passion for trees. He was a big tree lover, loved nature. So, of course, he had to go into that hobby and he created a nursery called Tree Haven. So, this was just something he kind of spent his time doing. And then it eventually evolved to something where he was like, I kind of want to share this with everyone else. Why just keep this so enclosed? So, after that, he decided to open it up to the general public. And this is where the theme park was born. He wanted to share the beauty of horticulture, obviously the rides. He wanted to make this sort of like a Bay Area in one little location, because in the Bay Area, we're surrounded by so much produce, fields. A lot of us here can relate to growing up next to, a field probably next door. And so, we were just so surrounded by that. And he really wanted to include that into the park. And so that's where you'll find the uniqueness of, fruit and vegetable themed rides along with the beauty of horticulture. So it eventually opened up to the general public in June of 2001, originally as Bonfante Gardens. So a lot of locals will know it as that. Eventually down the line, it changed the name to Gilroy Gardens Family Theme Park, but it's still the same mission, the same backstory, and the same beauty, and you can still find the same original rides here in the park.
I was reading a couple years ago, there is a theory that says you should have a favorite tree. You should have a tree in the world that is your favorite. And I love that a place that started with a guy who just loved trees has turned into this. So if you don't have a favorite tree, you should probably get one. I imagine a lot of people's favorite trees are your world famous circus trees. Can you tell us about those a little bit?
Of course. Yeah, our circus trees, when you're in park, you can find a lot of these weirdly shaped trees. They make awesome photo ops, by the way. Like they're huge. They do live here, and it's so cool, when you're in park and you walk by these huge beasts of trees. So my favorite is the basket tree. It's so cute. It's so huge, and it's in our logo and everything, and you could see it in park. But they're really, really cool. Definitely something you don't want to miss when you come to the park.
And now there are several themed gardens throughout the park. Can you describe those for us?
Yeah, so we have different gardens throughout the park. We have one called Monarch Garden. We have Camellia Garden, Holly Garden. Claudia's Garden. And then we also have one that you can't really explore in park. You see it more when you're on a ride, actually, and it's called South County Backroads Garden. So these are sort of areas that you won't find rides in, but it's more to enjoy the nature, enjoy the beauty. You'll find water flowing nearby. You'll find hidden little chairs and seating nearby that you can enjoy a meal and enjoy the beauty of the nature. And so Claudia's Garden's my favorite. That's actually a garden that Michael Bonfante created after his wife named Claudia. So she got a huge garden to herself. It is magnificent, beautiful. There's actually a mini carousel located in the garden that adults can't get on. It's only for kids because it's a tiny carousel.
Amazing. What is your favorite part of the park?
My favorite part, I have to say, is probably the ride of our train. I love the train. I have a 2-year-old daughter, and I think a lot of parents that go to Gilroy Gardens can relate that the train is probably their kid's favorite thing because this train takes you literally around the park. So it's literally you're getting a huge tour of the park on this beautiful train, and you get to see the fun that the kids are having on the rides, and then you also get to go through these trails that's, surrounded by nature, and you feel the breeze in your face of the beautiful Bay Area. And it's truly magnificent. It really allows you to take in the beauty of the park. So the train is always my favorite, and I love being on it because I get to see my daughter's face light up, even though we've gone on the train probably like for the fifth time of the day. But the train is truly my favorite part of it.
So you do have a lot of rides. Most of these rides are designed for younger kids, though, correct?
They are, yes. This theme park is primarily catered towards younger children below the age of 10, to those that, can have something that's very subtle, not too crazy for them. And it's also really nice to see them kind of age up in those rides as well. So you'll find a lot of different rides. Like I said, you'll find fruits and veggies. And so, of course, as a 501(c)(3) nonprofit, which is pretty rare to hear a theme park be a nonprofit, but the goal is to educate those young children about, what they're eating on their plates every day and kind of what's growing around them.
Yeah, I feel like kids have been, we're not kids, parents have been trying to get their kids to eat vegetables for years. And I don't know if anyone has ever come up with something as kid forward as a ride to convince you that, like,
Yeah,
hey, you should try an artichoke. I know it looks funny and looks
exactly.
strange, but if you love that ride, maybe let's try the food.
Yes, exactly, exactly.
Are there any other attractions aside from the rides that people can experience at the park?
Of course there is. So we have our water parks located in our theme park. It does get pretty hot in the area, during the
Yeah.
summer. And so we added a water park called Water Oasis back in 2014. So this has a huge water structure, huge water slides. And in addition to that, on the side of it, it has a nice pool for kids to just take a dip who don't want to get too crazy, but still want to get into that water splashing, side. And then it also has a section for babies. So like little babies that can't walk yet, they kind of sit there, get refreshed too as well.
Yeah. Are those separate tickets to go to Gilroy Gardens and your water parks, or is it one?
No, it's all included in our general mission. Yes, you get to hop on your rides and then you can come down to the water park and take a splash for the rest of the day.
Great. Are there any other like cool seasonal activities coming up this year?
Yes, we have actually Cherry Jubilee, which recently won a 2025 IAPA award for Best New Food and Beverage Event. So this is a global award that we just recently won. Really exciting. We just started this event last year. This event focuses on cherry foods. So we kind of struggled in the past finding like a food that we're kind of known for. And you would think that we would, have something probably more garlic themed because we're in Gilroy, and that's kind of what we're known for. But we never found anything that quite stuck. So we were like, we have these other events in park, but we want something that's food focused. What's something, besides the rides, people can come and enjoy. And so we were like, why not do cherries? So this event is food, but it also has activities. You can watch live performances. It has an entire backstory to the entire event. You can go roller skating, and there's also STEM activities for the kids located in parks, so they can kind of learn how to bake a cherry pie, and they have to learn how to measure things. And so kids are having fun, but they're also still getting that educational experience. So I love this event. It happens June 5th. It goes through July 5th. And we have over 50 foods that are cherry themed. You can find cherry burgers,
Wow.
ribs, lots of desserts. The desserts are really, really good. And we also we're adding 30 new foods in total with that. So huge event, and we're just glad that it got the recognition that it totally deserves, being about cherries. And it's something, different for Gilroy to kind of experience. Because like I said, everything is very much garlic themed, garlic based, which is a good thing because who doesn't love a good garlic food item?
Oh,
But
yeah.
we're like, how do we switch it up? How do we, stand out from just being known for garlic and something even just as delicious?
And I also heard you have a really cool program called the Nature Exchange. Can you tell us about that a little bit?
Yes, I think this is so cool, and it is very underrated in Park, and a lot of people don't know about this. So, in Park, we have what's called the Green Barn. So, in this Green Barn, I love it as a parent because it's sort of a way to take a break from the hecticness of the theme park, and you kind of get your kid to relax. And here you can draw. We always have arts and crafts going on. Majority of it is free arts and crafts, so kids can sometimes do little things. They can even make slime sometimes. We have a section for books, so a child can pass by, take a nice little book. And then we also have an area that has like a microscope, so kids can actually look and see within the microscope, of little rocks that are nearby. And so it's really, really cool. But inside is called the Nature Exchange. So this is sort of like it's kind of like a little, I wouldn't say monetary program, but it is in like a version of points. So kids can bring in items that they find at home, like rocks, pine cones, bugs, anything they can find in nature. Even in the park, they can create an account in park, bring that item with them, and get points for it. And so they kind of like can build up those points and exchange it for other things that kids have brought in that are even cooler. And some things are worth a lot of points. We have like
Yeah.
really beautiful crystals that kids have
Oh.
magically found. I don't know where they find them, but they're pretty cool. And so once you get enough points, you can exchange those points for another piece of nature to add to your own collection. So it's really cool, totally free to do. You can, start your program by grabbing like a cool rock you find in park. It's so simple, it's so easy. You don't have to find anything from home. It could be wherever you find it. And you get cool points for it and exchange for nice things.
Yeah. Who determines how much points, like a rock or a pine cone, is worth? Do you have tellers at the Nature Exchange?
Yeah. So in the Green Barn, we do have our Green Barn associates that do have that information. And they
Gotcha.
do show you too as well. Like you can kind of get an idea because we collect a lot of pine cones. So you can see like, next to each item of how many points it is. So you kind of get an idea like, okay, I can get this much for something that grows nearby my house. So yeah,
Yeah.
they do have a number, yes.
Oh, that's great. Can you talk about some things that you'd recommend that families do near the park while they're visiting, like some great restaurants or other nearby attractions?
Yes, so on Visit Gilroy, we do have an entire page dedicated to local tourism for the city of Gilroy. So you can find wine trails, taco trails, even trails just to walk on. You can go hiking. There's so much to explore nearby. And I love that, the beauty isn't just stuck within Gilroy Gardens, but it expands, of course, everywhere in Gilroy, California. So there's so much to explore, especially the taco trail. You'll find so many delicious tacos in Gilroy, California.
I was going to mention the Taco Trail if you didn't bring it back
Yeah.
around, but if I'm in like downtown Gilroy, are there a lot of sort of taco places within walking distance? Could I walk the Taco
Oh,
Trail?
yes. Oh,
Yeah.
yes, you can. Yes, you can walk majority of those trails. Yes.
Oh, wow. That sounds like a win. That sounds like a great use of your
Yes,
afternoon.
exactly.
Um, and what are some of your favorite things to see and do in Gilroy, just personally?
I mean, like you said, downtown is just so amazing. And I feel like there's so many new additions always coming into downtown. And I love that. I love how downtown Gilroy is slowly kind of expanding and getting new, coffee shops, food locations, thrift stores. And I kind of, I appreciate that because downtown you can find so many things that you're probably not even looking for. And it's just the best place to explore. You see other families nearby, and it is a beautiful walking area. In addition to that, I think Gilroy also has a bunch of beautiful parks. And of course, like I said, as a mother, I love taking my daughter, to a local park. And so there's so many parks to explore that have, beautiful playgrounds, especially like a park called Christmas Hill Park, which is my favorite because it's so beautiful. It's huge fields, huge trees, and it is definitely somewhere to visit to just, take the family to relax, grab some food from downtown, take it over there, and you just kind of have a family outing.
It sounds so terrific. Also, I mean, you have to be the coolest mom. I don't know if your daughter quite recognizes it now, but to have a mom that works at Gilroy Gardens that has that I feel like her love for you is only going to grow as it really clicks into place.
Oh, yeah.
What you have that access to.
I hear her asking Gilroy Gardens every day, every day. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm like, okay.
Well, yeah. I mean, it sounds like there's so much to do and so much to see. I can't wait to get up there and check out these circus trees and check out the gardens. It all sounds so special. So thank you so much for joining us, Joely. This has been fabulous.
Yeah, thank you, Josh. I'm so, so excited to have shared everything beautiful about Gilroy Gardens with you.
And for more information on the park's offerings, visit gilroygardens.org. That's it for this episode of the California Now podcast. Thanks so much for joining us. Don't forget, you can get more great California travel tips and inspiration for your next adventure directly in your inbox. Sign up for the free Visit California newsletter at visitcalifornia.com. Between episodes of California Now, you can catch me and more of my vacation getaway and stories on my other podcast, Family Trips with the Meyers Brothers. This podcast is produced by Visit California. You can find our show on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.